How's everybody doing? Back again with another episode of Until I'm Famous. You know, so I don't know what day it is. I think it's a Tuesday, whatever. It doesn't matter what day it is. But I'm just saying, yep, back again. On an eventful day. Today's the day that we actually got to see what was going to happen with the George Floyd trial. Even though I talked about this so many times. Uh, we actually got to see what was going to happen with the actual trial and stuff like that. And then, come to find out, what we wanted to happen actually happened this time. Usually, it was for some reason. You know what I was thinking? As I was thinking, like what was going to happen after this was going to be like a Rodney King situation. Where they find some way to just get him off. Cause it's crazy. Like a lot of like dealing with cops and police and all that, shit. They always find some kind of technicality. It's like fucking contracts when you're dealing with that shit. Because somewhere, I don't know, it's an unspoken rule, but it's somewhere where they always find a way to get somebody off. Because it's like there's no way. Like I think at the when the times of when the Rodney King situation, if people don't know about the Rodney King situation. That's your fucking bad. All right, but I mean at the time of the Rodney King situation, I mean it's on video of this motherfucker getting his lunch folded, his lunch ate, getting beat the shit, getting beat the fuck up, and like they all got off on some kind of technicality. And so the best part about this is like he didn't, they didn't get off. A lot of times motherfuckers get off. Like a lot of times people just get off, and it's always some kind of technicality. We can't. It's crazy. Like if it's so funny, right? Think about this for a second. I'm just sitting there thinking about this all in my head. Like if everybody that's like fucking like shot a kid or like killed somebody or something like that or anything like that, they all go to jail. It probably wouldn't be that much outrage because they all going to jail. But it's people that get off. You'd be like, what the fuck, man? Like it was like crazy. What was that one cop who had shot that one guy when he was at his house? She came into his house and she shot him, and he was like at home eating ice cream because she thought it was her house, but it wasn't her house, it was his house, and she shot him. And like she basically, I think she got like what, manslaughter? I don't know. I'm gonna look that up. I don't remember, but I think she got like some kind of like manslaughter and stuff like that. And people like really, like honestly, like felt bad for her when that happened because it was like, oh my god, I can't believe, like not people, because people was like, what the fuck, but like cops was like feeling bad for her because he, that's your fellow brotherman, and but it was kind of funny, I think I'm gonna just check this out real quick because I know I'm just sitting there finna say something that's probably wrong. Okay, I went back to look it up. Yeah, she got 10 years. Yeah, 10 years for killing. She could have got 28, but she ended up getting 10 years. So okay, I mean yeah. But yeah, I mean, it kind of like reminds me of that. Like, let's say if she wouldn't have got convicted, but they always find some kind of technicality. And it's crazy. Like I looked at it was like a photo because I was like looking it up, and like it was like a photo of her brother, the victim's brother, hugging the officer that killed her brother. I mean, killed his brother, whatever, killed the brother, and like he was the guy, the victim's brother was hugging her, and he was like, I don't wish anything bad on you, or something like that, sending that positive energy and stuff like that. And like in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, right, if somebody killed me, and y'all motherfuckers, and I find out y'all guys are hugging, but nah, that's selfish. But if I find out you guys are fucking hugging and I got murdered, I don't appreciate that. Like, don't forgive nobody who fucking kills me. Obviously, that's selfish, right? But don't fucking forgive nobody that fucking kills me. I want this fucking place to burn. If I fucking die by a cop, I want the whole precinct to be burnt down because that's just how it is. I don't want to die by a cop. See, but we're not gonna get to this point of me ever having to think about that because I don't want to put that out there. But I don't want to die by a cop. But I'm just saying, if I do end up getting murdered, ain't no forgiving because it's me. I shouldn't go through that. But like I just don't want to just be in that situation. But if I'm in that situation, ain't no forgiving over here, big dog. We can't forgive. I don't know how to forgive. You know, I just don't know how to forgive. I can't forgive that. You take somebody like that, because imagine what the people how the person was. It's crazy to think, right? With the George Floyd situation is also is like you can see how George Floyd was cool with certain people, and you can watch how they reacted. Like people that was close to him reacted when George Floyd was, was out. And you see how that affected them. And I imagine if I probably feel like a certain type of way if I know how I affect people. And imagine they just take that shit away over some bull shit. And then like now, yeah, ain't no forgiving. I don't want that. I don't want that. Especially if I get killed by a cop. We ain't forgiving no police if they kill me. But I'm gonna stop talking about that because that's just like a lot of like negative energy. But the best part about the George Floyd when the guy got convicted was actually seeing his fucking face, like Derek Chauvin. Because like it's crazy. Like when you see Derek Chauvin, when the 8 minutes and 46 seconds situation, I think it wasn't even 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It's like 9 minutes and 12 seconds. But when you see that situation and you looked at Derek Chauvin's eyes and you seen such a calmness about it, and he was very calm, and he just didn't care. But when you see him get convicted, you see his face. He was just like, I can't believe this shit. I personally can't. How? What did I do? I thought I did everything right, and that's just a good thing to see. And I know it's like probably like that's just really a good thing to see because like think about how far we've came to even deal with shit like that. Like let's not forget like Trayvon Martin, you know, got killed. And granted, he wasn't a cop, but the person who killed Trayvon Martin got off, right? So that's as like, and then so many cops that have gotten off before, or like just even that, and then to just see that somebody's actually getting convicted, and this is not even something that's like something that we should really be celebrating at all. We really shouldn't be celebrating this, but it's like such a good thing though, just to win a battle. Because honestly, we really are in a war. But to win a battle at least, because we've been fucking losing these goddamn battles. One on one, we've been getting our ass dusted on these battles. But like to finally like win a battle, it does feel a little good. And I don't want to celebrate it too much because I want to see more, more happen. Because it's like a lot of people that, because we also got the case that's coming up. And you know what I saw recently that messed me up a little bit too, even more, which I don't think I talked about on the last episode, was the fact that they found out that the guy who died, because he died in the guy who died, couldn't find out his teacher was George Floyd's ex-wife, wife or girlfriend or whatever. And man, do you know how that's some crazy stuff for that to be that connected, and to see him, that's just crazy to see. So I'm just glad we at least won the battle. We're fighting. We're batting a hard, 25-1. But hey, we just got to get another one. So then that's 2-25. We just got to keep on trying to win because it's just crazy to see that actually happened and we're able to, beat that battle. And that was a tough battle to win. We won. But like it's crazy because I was thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, this is really taking too long. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't think he was gonna get convicted. I promise you. I really didn't think it. I thought he was gonna. I really personally thought that he was gonna get off because of some kind of technicality. Because you already know what they tried to do. They tried to, they brought up the whole book on him, like saying, he was on drugs and stuff like that. Then they tried to say it was a muffler. They did everything they can to find a way to get George Floyd off. And this is the thing. I don't know how the fuck you can be a lawyer and not acknowledge the video. I don't understand that. How can you be a lawyer and just not be like, yeah, you're going down. Like but that's America though, because America you get a free trial. I mean, you get whatever that's just called. Fuck it, you get like a fucking equal trial, so to say. I don't believe that, but that's what they want. That's why you're able to get lawyers and shit like that, But I actually thought he was gonna get off, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm glad he didn't, and that's a beautiful thing to actually see that he actually didn't get off, and he's able to, I hope. Here's the thing. He's gonna get what I think. As many years as he's gonna get. I just hope that he just doesn't commit suicide, because you know how that go. When your life is over, no one really wants to wait out that fucking time that they have to do, even though they did the crime. No one ever really wants to wait out that time. That's why it's like always like it's tricky, right? Because when you kill yourself, like when you talk to people about suicide, it's a very touchy subject. Because I used to get like a lot of flack for saying this. I used to always get like a lot of flack for saying like I always thought when you commit suicide is you're quitting. and I know it like when you hear the sound of it. This is just my reasoning. It don't mean it's right, but it's just my reasoning about it. When you commit suicide, it's looked at. I mean, to me, I look at it as quitting, no matter what you're going through. You know, because like you can always relate it to like it's a fight. In a fight, okay, you're gonna lose a couple of rounds, you know, but you gotta keep getting up. I mean, I know you hear this shit so fucking much of like, no matter what happens, you gotta keep getting up. No matter what happens, you gotta keep getting up. If anything happens, you gotta keep getting up because it's always gonna be something happen. Nobody has a fucking easy path unless you're like Donald Trump. Shout out to the 40 45 real quick. I'm joking, fuck him. But I'm just saying, like, and then I always like looked at it like when I found out somebody had committed suicide, I'm like, depending on the situation. I would never fucking tell anybody. Like, if somebody said, yeah, my brother committed suicide, I would never be like, you know he quit on you, right? I would never do that. What the fuck is, I would never do some shit like that. But in my mind, I can't help but not think about that. Even though that may not even be the case. Some people may be like mentally screwed off and like to the point where they not really thinking for themselves. And I understand that to the point. And I don't look at that as quitting, but some cases I do look at it as quitting. You know, when fucking I said when Anthony Hernandez, what was the fucking nigga name? Anthony Hernandez. When that motherfucker Anthony Hernandez had committed suicide in jail, like we know why. You know, we know why. He fucking he didn't want to he didn't want to go to jail for that. He killed that man, and he didn't want to go to jail for that. And you know it's crazy for like even for that to even like happen. Like even for like that to even happen, they had put like a whole fucking documentary about that shit. It came out big, where the point was like everybody watching the documentary, and everybody's feeling bad for Anthony Hernandez. You know, everybody talk. They bring up the fact of CTE. They bring up everything to like try to sympathize with that. But can you really sympathize with somebody like that? Can you? But you can always find a way to sympathize. But like, I mean, he committed suicide. He didn't want to. He probably just couldn't face himself in the mirror. Because that's one person that you do not want to let down. You can let down anybody in your life, but one person you do not want to let down is yourself. Because you got to look in the mirror. You're trapped in your own head any fucking day. Because no matter what, you're gonna be there. No matter what, you can try to block it all the way, but you're always gonna be there with yourself. You're gonna be talking to yourself. There's always something where you're dealing with yourself because you're doing what you're supposed to do because you're just living your life. So you always have conversations with yourself, and you telling me he wasn't happy with himself, so he kind of felt bad. He can't believe he did some shit. He can't be letting himself get to that point. So he quit. I mean, it is what it is. You know, Epstein did too, but I don't really know the situation about Epstein. I think that's so tricky because like you see everybody talk about Epstein didn't do it. Well, he probably did though. You know, when you go to jail for fucking child molestation or child rape, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Them motherfuckers don't ever stay out there full time though. Them motherfuckers don't never stay out there full time. They find a way. I wasn't surprised when fucking Anthony Hernandez did it. I know I'm a little late to be talking about that, but I'm just saying I wasn't surprised about that. You want to hear something crazy too? All right, so it was a movie that's been nominated by the Oscars and stuff like that. It's called Black Judah and the Messiah. Black Judas and the Messiah. I probably said that fucking wrong. With Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield. And in the movie, Lakeith Stanfield played Bill O'Neill, and Bill O'Neill it's all about the Black Panthers in Chicago. And in the movie, Lakeith Stanfield played Bill O'Neill, who Bill O'Neill's he was an informant for the FBI, and he was like used to like fucking write out blueprints and stuff like that, and like basically give out information about the Black Panthers and stuff like that, and tear down Fred Hampton, because a lot of things that Fred Hampton was doing at that time was like deemed as rebellious. Of course, I don't think it was rebellious. I think he was really trying to unite and trying to get past this crooked government that we deal with, especially with dealing with this system. And he was doing a lot of good, but people just don't like when you see somebody like that doing good. They didn't like when fucking Martin Luther King was doing good, and he was preaching nonviolence, right? And you deal with Malcolm X, who wasn't preaching nonviolence. Malcolm X was trying to get that shit done by any means necessary. And Fred Hampton was along the lines of Malcolm X, of like, we're gonna get this shit done by any means necessary, and we're gonna just try to unite everybody. When we're trying to unite everybody, so they did everything they can to tear him down. So, but they had an informant of Bill O'Neill, and Bill O'Neill was like letting it go like really like big secrets, and Bill O'Neill ended up becoming really, really big inside the Black Panthers and stuff like that, especially in that little community that they had, and he became like really like well known. But he was going fucking insane. Especially when he like looks back on the fact, it's like he didn't think they was bad, and he knows they wasn't bad, but he had a job to do. He was, so he helped tear down the Black Panthers. He didn't give a fuck about nobody but himself, and that made that shit very prevalent. He didn't give a fuck about nobody but himself. And when you see shit like that, you go, okay. And so it's like, they had paid him. They paid him, and I think they had looked up. It said they paid him for as much as the money it would be for like today's day. They paid him like $200,000. So he tore down a whole fucking regime for $200,000. That's how much money can make somebody do some shit. So that was his price, $200,000. So for selling, basically for selling his soul, not literally, but basically like selling his soul. He sold his soul for $200,000. So like, it's crazy to think, right? He finally did an interview. Like, I think was it like 1990, like 1981, I'm pretty sure it was 1991, right? He did an interview and he was talking about the whole thing, about all that whole situation of what happened and stuff like that. And he really went into detail about all that. And when he went into detail, 3 days later, I guess he realized something after, like, he went into detail. 3 days later, he ended up committing suicide. And like, I'm telling you, one person you do not want to let down is yourself. I think after that interview, probably because he's probably been dealing with that shit for as long as ever. Because imagine the kind of stuff that he's seen and the stuff that he had to been through. And then like, when you having to sit there and just deal with it and just be mad at yourself for like dealing with that shit, he probably would just say, I can't take this shit no more. I let my fucking people down. And he probably had to, but I would never be able to understand his fucking mind, But I'm just saying, whenever you let yourself down, it shows. You never want to let yourself down. I know people have these conversations in their head all the time, like, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that? Why didn't I say that? And they get mad because they wish they would have said it. That's why I always believe in the fact I'm just gonna say everything I can say. Like, I have to. Like, if I don't say everything I have to say, then I might forget it, or it may not ever happen. Because I feel like it's gonna be a point in time where I don't say everything I have to say. Because I've been in situations so many times of where I can say what I have to say and I never do. I was in the military for 6 years. There's been plenty of times where I had to shut the fuck up. And shutting the fuck up sucks. Shutting the fuck up sucks. Because sometimes you feel like you have a point, but if they don't care. And then whenever you don't say the stuff that you're supposed to say, you always feel bad. Because you let yourself down. Don't ever let yourself down. If there's anything you can take from this, just don't let yourself down. Forget all the other shit. Just don't let yourself down. That's really the main key. But it's like, it's always a good thing to just really just go back to that point of just thinking about, we really have came, a long way, I guess. Actually, I really don't know what the fuck I was talking about right there. I forgot my original point, but it just kind of went on a little tangent. I apologize for that. And I'm not taking this out. I'm leaving this in because why not? Yeah, I'm leaving this in. I can try to change this. I'm gonna change the subject. Well, no, I'm not gonna change the subject. I think that was good on the enough on the George Floyd situation. This weekend was fucking crazy though. Like, it was like a lot of like fucking. I like watching sports. And I like watching the fight game. I really do. I really do like watching the boxing game. I really thoroughly enjoy the fight game. Boxing and UFC. I don't watch UFC as much now because it's kind of coming to a point where, like, I used to like the UFC when it first was like getting big and stuff like that. Because back then the UFC was like full of like fucking fighters. You know what I mean? Like, motherfuckers who was gonna fight. They didn't give a fuck about winning. They just want to fight and they just want to just knock a motherfucker out. And I like that shit. Now UFC is more based on like fucking athletes. Niggas just want to win. And I'm be honest with you, like, it's cool. I respect it. But I don't really like seeing that shit all the time. Like, I like seeing motherfuckers just going. Like, my favorite fighter was Rampage Jackson of like the UFC was Rampage Jackson, because no matter what, Rampage gonna try to fight you. He was a fighter, and I love fighters. I don't like the athletes. Like GSP is an athlete. He wasn't really a fighter. I like fighters, and like especially like when like and that's probably in the case of like brawlers or some shit like that. I just like people who want to fight, and that's what made me like the UFC because the motherfuckers was like really just trying to fucking fight. When you go back in history, like you look at the boxers, they were just full of fighters, and you see fighters now. But like that's why I kind of really don't watch UFC all the time. I just watch it every now and then. But like in boxing, I thoroughly enjoy watching a good boxing match because it's like it's a whole art to it. It's like a certain way where you're punching, and you can see certain things. You can see how it's like it's so beautiful when you watch, especially when you watch so many styles, especially like the masterclass of just fucking boxing, and it's so beautiful. Like when you watch a beautiful art like that, it's like watching fucking stand up comedy. It's like watching a stand up comedy at its fucking height, or watching fucking Ray J sing One Wish live. It's a fucking beautiful thing. Okay, maybe not Ray J One Wish live. Probably like R. Kelly and live. Like if R. Kelly sung I Believe I Can Fly, like let's say if he was in court, right, going through his little situation, and he just said he just got out and just started singing If I Can See It, you'll be like, God damn, that's fucking amazing. It might make motherfuckers cry. I swear to God, he might have probably got a couple of years shaved off. Might. I mean, I don't really know for sure, but I'm just saying that's the art of it, right? So I mean, there was the fight this weekend was like the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren, and everybody was like fucking, oh my God, Jake Paul knocked out Ben Askren. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that he knocked out Ben Askren. I think he was supposed to knock out Ben Askren. I mean, I think Jake Paul is like doing what Floyd Mayweather does, is he just cherry picks his opponents and picks out the perfect opponents just so he can beat their ass. That's where the art of boxing kind of goes to shit. When you pick out a particular opponent that you can beat and you know you're gonna win, and you know how to beat somebody. That's like when you I bet you like when fucking here's the thing, when you look at old fighters, like when you look at fucking Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis, them niggas fought everybody because they just had to. They just like I'm gonna fight anybody. Like you think you better than me? I'm gonna show you. You have to live that. You think you bet? All right, we're gonna have to see that because you're not better than me. And it was a competition of like ain't nobody gonna beat me. And like, but nowadays motherfuckers just pick because they want to win. No one it's crazy. No one really wants to respect a fighter with 3 losses. Even though Manny Pacquiao got like 8. But like but the thing about Manny Pacquiao is like sometimes I think with Manny Pacquiao, he's kind of like he has a whole country behind him, so you can't really just never say fuck Manny Pacquiao. You can't really never really just say that. But with some fighters, no one wants to take a L. You see that shit. That's why boxing ain't never really been the same anymore ever since after Floyd, because no one wants to take an L anymore. Like now it's kind of shitty when you watch it. You're like, what the fuck is this? Are you fucking like motherfuckers be afraid? And that's why when fucking Ben Askren picked out fucking what's his name? Ben Askren. Jake Paul picked out Ben Askren. I'm like, okay. He picked the motherfucker that's like fat, out of shape, fucking had hip surgery, and fucking who got knocked out within 7 seconds of a fight. You picked him, and you like, he may hold up a good match. Nigga, you picked the easy motherfucker. Like, why don't you go pick one of them young motherfucking hitters? Like, it's a bunch of like retired fighters that just want to beat the shit out of him because they feel like retired boxers. They just want to beat the shit out of him because they feel like he's disrespecting the sport. He's disrespecting everything that they work for, that they fucking risk their life for, getting fucking CTE. Because let's be honest, these boxers are really fucked up. Some of these boxers are really fucked up. It hurts to see sometimes, like when you see they slur speech. You really low key feel like you like when you're watching a boxing match. It's like kind of like being at the Coliseum of like back in the day, where like motherfuckers are just killers and they just kill each other. Not every fucking it's crazy. Like all the fighters now. Most of the fighters don't really have a fucking clear train of thought. They always got slurred speech. It's just not the same. And you can go down so many. There's only one motherfucker. It's like only a couple motherfuckers that actually have clear speech. Like when Evander Holyfield talk, you're like, damn, I know that nigga wasn't talking like that before. Like James Toney, you don't understand shit he's saying. Like no disrespect, I love James Toney. James Lifestyle Toney don't got respect for nobody. Nah. I love James Toney, but you barely can understand what the fuck he be saying. And it's like when you see shit like that, you're like, ugh. And you feel like Gladiator is watching that shit, but you can't help but not to love it. Like it hurt to see when Muhammad Ali, as great as Muhammad Ali was, Muhammad Ali is the greatest, one of the greatest, and it's great to see that, and to see him not being able to talk, not being able to do, but his mind was just as sharp as ever because his mind was like he wanted to do all these things, but he just couldn't, and that shit hurts to see. It really does hurt to see, but it's like that. That's the kind of you dealing with fucking gladiators, and if you're fighting to win, you're gonna be like that. But nobody wants to fucking. That's also when when people be mad at Floyd. I understand why Floyd did that because Floyd is like 40 now. When Muhammad Ali was 40, he was like really starting to like slow down very hard, and Floyd was probably like, I can't be like that, especially just getting hit in the head because like boxing. Battles always told me, and boxing is way more fucking dangerous than fucking MMA because in boxing you only have two fucking targets: your head or your fucking body. In MMA you got so many fucking targets. You can hit the legs, chins, all that shit. You may get fucked up a little bit more with forearms, gloves, but you only have two targets in boxing. That's the fucking head or the fucking body. But like when yeah, and I understand why Floyd fights like that, but I don't like that shit. I don't like that shit at all. I want to see like fucking the young Floyd. Floyd was just knocking motherfuckers out. He was ruthless. He didn't give a fuck about nobody but himself. And he was just sitting there what Pretty Boy Floyd was ruthless. That nigga was on motherfuckers bumpers. Like if you want to watch a beautiful like master of like fucking fighting was when Floyd fought Arturo Gatti, and he beat the shit out of Arturo Gatti. And I know I went from Jake Paul talking about Jake Paul to Floyd Mayweather, but it's kind of like along the same lines. I'm gonna bring it back. Watch that, spin this shit back. But no, I mean that's like a beautiful class of him just beat. It's really kind of embarrassing because Floyd was really just beating the shit out of fucking Arturo Gatti, and Arturo Gatti was a legend. He had some of the most legendary fights, and he was beating the shit out of him, like fucking. That's when you really got to see it was art because Floyd was telling Arturo Gatti where to put his hands, and he was telling him without even having to tell him. He was making Arturo Gatti move his hands so he can anyway, and he was able to feast off that. That's when you see. That's when you go. Boxing is beautiful. Boxing is beautiful. MMA, I really don't. I see it sometimes in MMA, but it's like not like all the time, especially like now. Well, like now it's like when I watch MMA, it's more of like what was that fight recently I had saw that kind of I didn't really like. It was what Masvidal versus Usman. I don't know people who watch that shit, but Masvidal versus Usman, and all Usman did was just fucking grab him and just stay on top and just held him. He didn't want to fight with the motherfucker because he didn't want to lose, and that's just how it is. Motherfuckers can be like that when they don't want to lose. And I mean, as like a fighter, and I'm not a fighter, but I just don't like that. I just don't like that. And of course, I'm just a fan talking, but I always never really liked that shit. I don't give a fuck what anybody say. You respect Manny Pacquiao's losses. You respect Manny Pacquiao's losses more than you respect Floyd's wins. You respect Mike Tyson's losses. Like it's crazy. Mike Tyson has seven losses, and he lost to one person twice. But no one ever brings that shit up. No one ever brings that shit up because it's like, okay, you respect because Mike Tyson didn't duck nobody. I fight everybody. He goes, what? I'm Alexander the Great. No one can stop me. My style is impregnable. My defense is impregnable. My style is impressive. Like I'm just ferocious. I want his heart. I want to eat his children. Like you don't ever question Mike Tyson. Really, you don't. Like I love Mike Tyson, and I love his losses. Like when you watch, I ain't gonna lie, when you watch that motherfucking that fight with Buster Douglas, and he got knocked out, and he got hit with like one of the a fucking impeccable combination. That motherfucker hit that motherfucker hard as fuck, and he knocked the shit in. And all you see is Mike Tyson just getting up, like he's looking for his mouthpiece so he can get up, and he got up, and he was just sitting there like, let's go, I'm finna really fuck you up. But that's what you see, like God, that nigga just look like a fucking warrior. Like no matter what, you respect that. When motherfuckers go out like on their shield, you respect that. But sometimes it's like healthy, sometimes it's not. And I think at that time, when like especially like in the '90s, it was just a tougher class. And niggas was just built from a different cloth. And motherfuckers was just like, I'll fight for nothing. I don't give a fuck about anything. They fight like they was broke. And when you see shit like that, you just always like, oh, I love that shit. You love it. I mean, it is what it is. Like boxing is just, and it's crazy that now. Think about how big boxing was, and I know I'm fucking going on a whole fucking rampage about boxing, but think about how big boxing was in the fucking what 30s or 40s. Boxing's been big from like it's an Olympic sport, and it's as big as ever. and now it's coming to the point where MMA is like taking over. And no matter if it's taking over, it's crazy. The part about MMA may be taking over, but it's still not going to be. It's still boxing's never going to get canceled out. And that's the crazy part about boxing. You know, also another beautiful thing about boxing is that you can make so much money just by winning the fight. Like when Anthony Joshua lost his fight against when Andy Ruiz, that fat Mexican who won the championship, who fucking fucked it all off. When he won against fucking Anthony Joshua, that changed his life. He got $3 million off back. You talking about somebody who's going to making like what, I think 20 G's a fight, to make $3 million off of one fight? I mean, that's a beautiful thing to see. He put his all on that shit. Especially when and this is the first time he ever got knocked. He got knocked down in that fight. And after he got knocked down, he got up. He said, "Look, man, I'm either gonna fight or flight." And he fought his ass off, and that's all he did was just he didn't leave one punch on the fucking table. He knocked out the heavyweight champion. That's a beautiful thing to see. And like when you see shit like that, that's a very beautiful thing to see. And that's also things I love about boxing. You know, I just wish it was just. I think it's gonna be a new era where motherfuckers are coming in and they motherfuckers gonna be tough. I just gotta get rid of some of these goddamn belts. It's like so many motherfucking belts, and there's so many motherfuckers. I don't know who these motherfuckers be, and I don't even know who the fuck to even watch anymore. Like I don't know. Like I don't know who's on top. Of course you know who the heavyweights are, but I don't really know who's good or not. Because everybody seems to show like the same level, but no one's really surprised me. Like you see certain motherfuckers come up, you like okay. Like when you saw Floyd, you like okay. When you saw Sweet Pea, when you saw fucking Julio Cesar Chavez, you go okay. I see how they coming. When you saw Manny Pacquiao, you see they coming. But now I really don't know. And it's not like my head ain't in. I'm in it. I just don't really see it like that now. I really don't know because I don't know if it's their fight. I don't know if they're fighting like that. I don't know if they're like picking their opponents to the point where they're picking easy opponents. I really personally don't know. And if they're picking easy opponents, then how can I really say? Because one thing Teddy Atlas always said, he says, when you're not that guy that you say that you are, you have a great job of knowing who is. And that shit always sticks to me. I still think about that shit every day. Just the fact when you're not that guy that you say you are, you have a great job of knowing who he is. And like fucking, he related that shit to Mike Tyson because when Mike Tyson fought Evander Holyfield, he goes, when Mike Tyson fought Evander Holyfield, he said Mike Tyson realized that Evander Holyfield was the real deal. Which that's a great fucking nickname for Evander. Evander the real deal Holyfield. Because Evander Holyfield was a fucking beast. That motherfucker used to get hit. Like Evander Holyfield's fighting style is when you hit me, I throw five punches. What kind of fucking fight style is like that? Like you hit me and I'm gonna just come at you, hit as much as I can. So that's the funny part about it. And it's like there's a trick to beat that shit too. Where like instead of like you actually, because like, you know he's gonna respond to the fucking to the counter. You gotta like feint. It's like a little tricks and shit like that. That's why like I love boxing because it's really an art to that shit. You know. But yeah, Jake Paul knocked out fucking Ben Askren. Whoopie-doo. How about you get in with a real fucking fighter and we see what your real mental is? I feel like I can beat Jake Paul. And I would never like. I'm not gonna fight him if he says, "Oh, you say you can beat me? Fight me." I ain't gonna fight that motherfucker because I'm gonna say that I can beat him, but I just don't want to be getting up off the floor. Having to do that fucking apology. Ain't nothing worse than motherfuckers apologizing. When you see a motherfucker get up and be like, "I'm sorry, I let the world down." That shit hurt. I'm not, cause like I'm talking shit cause I just don't believe this motherfucker. I really don't. But he be making believers out of motherfuckers. He made Nate Robinson a fucking believer. And he made motherfucking, Ben Askren a believer. But then again, you fought a basketball player and a retired MMA fighter. 20 pounds overweight that he usually fights at. Ben Askren fights at 170. You fought him at 190. A fat motherfucker. You feel good about that? How about he ain't gonna fight one? He ain't gonna fight like a fucking beast though. It's crazy. But if he fights a beast and he beats him, he'll get my respect. But nah, you ain't got my respect. He ain't got my respect. And I mean, my respect don't matter to him, but it matters to me. I might see him and try to bitch him a little bit. That's just how it is. I'm not gonna see him because he keeps really really strong security guards around him. So that's how it is. It's crazy. How can you be that? It's like how can you be like that and you have to have security? Like I always feel like if I'm fucking amazing, like I'm one of them motherfucking knockout niggas, I will not stay with security. I wonder if Mike Tyson walked around with security. I think Mike Tyson had security, but I think he didn't. Because Mike Tyson was too fucking polarizing to not have security. Because, like, especially when you look at Mike Tyson had the freshest fade of the 90s. No matter what anybody said, he had the freshest fade of the 90s, and that nigga was just, he was just so fucking scary. I didn't think nobody fucked with him. Like, if you hear stories about Mike Tyson, you just don't think nobody fucks with Mike Tyson. Like, nah. Like, you hear stories about Mike Tyson in jail, you go like, nah, I don't think nobody was really fucking with Mike. Like, it's funny. Because Mike Tyson, like, some of Mike Tyson's stories be, like, low-key, like, legendary. Like, it was a story about Mike Tyson fucking, it was a cellmate. He was the cellmate of Mike Tyson. And he asked the fucking, the warden, can I switch fucking cells? Because I don't like staying in the cell with Mike Tyson. And he goes, why? He goes, because he punches the wall and it scares me. And I don't like really being in the fucking, cell with him. I'm scared for my life. And he goes, what? Man, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Quit bitching. As long as he ain't fucking raping you, you're good. But he goes, all right, you don't believe me? All right, stay in the next room. You can see what the fuck I'm talking about. So I guess the guy, he had somebody stay in the next room, or like just wait, or just hear it out. And all you heard was like, boom, 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 just fucking going to fucking work on that fucking wall. And, you know what he did? He granted, he let him move cells. He goes, oh, that nigga ain't normal. And that's Mike Tyson. You know. That's why I'm like, when I hear shit like that, it's like, yeah, I don't think nobody just fucked with Mike Tyson. Because Mike Tyson wasn't nobody that he was a real motherfucker. Like, the shit that he went through, like, when I hear Mike Tyson talk about this fucking child, I go, ooh. Think about it. Mike Tyson grew up in Brownsville, and he said in Brownsville, you have to worry about getting raped as a kid. I don't know what the fuck kind of tough that shit is. That's some fucking, worried about getting raped as a kid? A kid boy? I never had to worry about my booty getting took by a grown man. I never had to worry about that. And I'm so thankful that I never had to worry about that. But Mike Tyson had to worry about getting raped as a kid. I don't think people understand the fact of the matter is that. And for him to act like that, I understand. Nigga, he grew up in the jungle. You gonna act like that when you grow up in the fucking jungle. That's why, that Tarzan movie is bullshit. Because you telling me Tarzan is just gonna fucking automatically just come into a human, and that motherfucker Tarzan grew up in the fucking where every day he could get killed. Yeah, I don't believe that. But it's a fucking Disney movie. Of course you don't fucking believe. But I'm just saying, right? That's why, that's why I don't feel like motherfuckers probably fucking Tyson. But either way, Jake Paul has security, and that just is what it is. I keep like fucking ranting, and I keep forgetting my fucking point. But yeah, I mean, and it's another thing I want to talk about too. It's a lot of shit I want to talk about. No, maybe not a lot. Fucking. Okay. So I think okay. So to get off boxing, I'm glad I want to get off boxing because I kind of went on another rant on that. So fucking Kobe Bryant's wife did not renew the deal with Nike, and I always kind of thought, I just want to like say something about that real quick because it's switching to basketball. This is gonna be a sports heavy podcast today. I ain't gonna lie, it is what it is. I love sports. I'm tired of keeping that shit concealed. But yeah, Kobe Bryant's wife did not fucking renew her deal with Nike. And you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking it's gonna be something behind that. I'm thinking that it's actually gonna be. I think what I think is gonna happen, which I don't know is gonna happen because I don't know anything. But what I think is gonna happen is, you heard it here first. They're gonna create a fucking shoe for Kobe. Like, other than the fucking Kobe's. But I'm telling you, I think they're gonna create a actual shoe for Kobe, like how they got Jordan. I think they may create a shoe for Kobe, and I think that would be beautiful, especially like to like honor his legacy. And it's like all the money's going straight to Kobe's, family and stuff like that. Of course, that's what Nike do, but I'm telling you, instead of having like actual deal, it's gonna be like promoted like an actual shoe. I would love to see that happening because I think that would be fucking beautiful. Like, and they create a Kobe brand, man, that would be fucking beautiful. Like, instead of having like something like partnership with Nike, it's like an actual Kobe brand. Like, how you look at Jordans or fucking Under Armour and shit like that. It's an actual Kobe brand. I think that would be fucking beautiful. I don't know what it probably would be called. Probably Mamba. Man, that would be fucking beautiful just to see though. Like the actual shoe. It's gonna start off somewhere, but it's gonna be like a little work in progress of them creating an actual shoe for Kobe and an actual brand like for sports gear and all that kind of shit. And it can build up to the point of like that becomes the new Nike. Man, that would be fucking beautiful. I think that may happen, but who knows? But if that's the case, that shit happen. It's fucking over, nigga. I'm like, I'll be so fucking happy because that's all I'm gonna be wearing. Because you know, Kobe is the goat to me. I don't give a fuck what anybody say. Kobe is the goat. Can't nobody fucking stop him, no matter what you say. He used to fucking make LeBron James pack his lunch, fuck him up, fuck LeBron James up. It is what it is. So fucking also back to basketball. I've been saying this shit for the longest, and I mean it. That motherfucker Steph Curry is a fucking. I just gotta acknowledge this. I gotta have this shit out on wax of just saying Steph Curry is really that motherfucker. I been knew he was that motherfucker, but like now you really just people are really starting to see that he really is that motherfucker. Steph Curry's been that motherfucker so bad that just the whole basketball is just fucking changed now. You got nothing but niggas with like light skins just shooting jumpers. I ain't never seen a light skinned motherfucker dunk a ball yet. All they do is just shoot fucking jumpers. All light skinned motherfuckers shoot jumpers. Dark skinned motherfuckers try to dunk on you, but all light skinned motherfuckers shoot jumpers. Every fucking light skin. That's crazy. Like Steph Curry really changed the game like that. He's really that much of a fucking dog, and he's just been fucking going off. He's hit like 53s or like what 50 or 43s over the last fucking 5 games, and I'm just enjoying this shit because it's something fucking beautiful. Like it's crazy, right? As good as Steph is, like I'm telling you, when we look back at this shit, we're gonna be like, God damn, maybe we took Steph for granted because this goddamn run he's on is like, it's fucking phenomenal. It's scary too. Because we didn't like people like I love when stuff like reminds you that I'm still a fucking dog because it's a beautiful thing to see because it reminded everybody when remember when Kevin Durant got hurt and like it was like the Rockets were supposed to sweep them. Everybody was happy like, oh, the Rockets are gonna sweep them now. The Rockets are supposed to beat them. But Steph Curry said, you know, hey, I'm here. I won these MVPs for a reason. And I wonder what would happen if like Kevin Durant never came and we really get to see Steph Curry flourish like that. Steph Curry and Clay flourish. Because Kevin Durant slowed down their fucking progression. I don't fuck what anybody said. Kevin Durant is like how Kevin Durant plays, he's really amazing. He's 6'11", he can shoot, you know, handle and do all that shit. But how Kevin Durant plays, it's like it didn't fit well with the Golden State offense. The Golden State offense is just more of like, it's a beautiful offense to see. It's like team passing and all that. Kevin Durant was more of like an isolation scorer. And I mean, that's the truth. But the best part about that is they know how to play off that. They know how to play off that. And I think it's come to a point where I really don't like Kevin Durant now. I really feel like I don't like Kevin Durant. But that's beside the point. I think Kawhi Leonard is better than Kevin Durant. We can get into that later. Or we might not ever get into it. But I'm saying, back to Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry's impact is going to be, when we look back on this shit, we're going to be like, because like honestly, when we look back on it, I don't think they're going to be mentioning all these other point guards out in the league. Because the way Steph Curry's playing so goddamn good. And he's so fucking good that people are going to be forgotten. People are going to be forgotten. It's kind of like how Mike was. People are forgotten. It's kind of like how Kobe was. People are forgotten in Kobe's era. Like, you never see nobody talk about fucking T-Mac. Well, they talk about T-Mac slow, like a couple people, but they got to be really into it. People don't talk about certain players now because of Kobe. People don't talk about certain players because of Mike. Like, people don't talk about a lot of people. Like, fucking Reggie Miller never gets talked about. And Reggie Miller was one of the most clutch performers ever. And Reggie Miller has clutch moments. The shit that Reggie Miller did for that fucking Indiana franchise, you don't really talk about that shit like that because he was so fucking good. There's so many players that's going to be forgotten. I know players going to be forgotten for fucking dealing with Steph. I know players. And I'm going to tell you the first person going to be forgotten. The first player that's going to be forgotten is Kyrie. I'll be honest with you. I think Kyrie's not going to be remembered because of Steph. And this is kind of shitty to talk about. I mean, obviously. But I'm saying just like in basketball lane, Steph Curry's going to be that good where like they're going to be like, oh, Kyrie's good, but is he better than Steph? You know, that's always up for debate. There's going to be a couple basketball players, like especially point guards, that's going to be forgotten because of Steph. But that's one thing about LeBron. LeBron James is like, one thing the difference between like LeBron James and Kobe is like LeBron James, a lot of people be eating with LeBron. Not a lot of people eat with Kobe. And only person who ate with Kobe was Tim Duncan. That was the only person who ate. But with LeBron, a lot of people ate. Curry, Kawhi. Kawhi ate a couple of times. So did fucking Curry. And it's just LeBron. LeBron James been in the finals, what, like 9, 10 times? But we're not going to get into that. It's not really a debate for fucking LeBron. I'm just saying Steph Curry is just that good. Or people are going to be forgotten. I'm going to just end this podcast here because like, I'm a little bit done talking about sports. I just had to get this shit off my chest because it was fucking bothering me. Because there's just so much shit about sports that I feel like I just feel like I have to talk about it. Because I love sports. Sports is such a revolving thing everybody's life where it's hard for you not to like it. Sports is fucking beautiful. Sports is able to like patch holes in people's lives that could piece everything together. Like if you don't want to think about your life, you can watch a sports game. That'll make you forget. Watch a good fight. That'll make you forget. Anything that can make you forget. Anything that puts those blockers up. I just love sports. But I'm gonna end this podcast. I know this is a very sports heavy podcast, so we'll see what y'all guys. It is what it is. It is. All right, guys. Have a good one. I'm glad to be back.